What's up, guys? Drew back with Drew Does Trucks. We just picked up this absolutely beautiful 86 F150 Super Cab long bed 2-wheel drive. This is an XLT Lariat with the 351 motor. So the seller had bought this. He said he'd done some brake work to it, did some wheel cylinders, was trying to get it running. Said it was dead on one cylinder. He ended up taking the carb off. It's in really amazing shape. I picked this up very, very inexpensively. It's got brand new tires on it. Interior has some small rips over there on the driver's side, but really, really clean. Again, this is an XLT Lariat. I believe this was as nice as these got. I'm not sure if there was a Ranger trim for these. Was kind of surprised to see still has hand crank windows. I thought power was an option by 86, but this this truck is the kind of the end of an era for Ford. This was the last truck to use the famous Ford 9-inch rear end. You can see we got one down there with a little bit of a pinion leak on the pinion yoke there. And then if I can get around here, this has the I got guys call this the bullnose. This one has the pusher bars. It's these cool recessed marker lights. You can see that the light got hot on this and actually melted that, so that light needs changed. Farm vehicle registration exemption. This was owned, he said it was owned by a butcher. Do you hear that door pop open? We got a brake controller in here. Original radio. This is AM/FM cassette. The Ford Electronic that would have been state-of-the-art, top of the line. The carpet's got a little bit of like mold on it and stuff. I don't know if that'll come up with a steam cleaner. Got these nice carpeted door panels. Again, this was a luxurious truck in the 80s. Headliner's still in it, needs re-glued. Underneath the truck, I'm making my way to the engine here, but underneath the truck, really solid for 86, at least around here. PA still uses salt, so does here in West Virginia. Hood is nice. A little bit of surface rust where it's rubbed against something. I'm gonna guess this may have had like a visor on it at some point. Someone spilled some blue paint on it, and then the clear coat's peeling, which is kind of to be expected. But you know, you could work with this. Did that not pop all the way? Let's see if we can get our hood to pop. It popped really easily the last time I tried it. Let's see. There it goes. Sometimes these old trucks, like, things just get shaken and moved around. Maybe they've been in an accident or two over their lifetime. So this one has this funky like secondary latch. So this is what we're looking at for the motor. He said he had replaced the valve cover gaskets, put a new master cylinder on, some other stuff. Looks like he kept the battery. New starter solenoid. A lot of new parts. I can tell just from looking at it, the rear brake lines are rusted on the rear axle. They're going to have to be replaced. Truck had AC. He said he thought it worked, which would be cool. I have absolutely no idea what this giant thing up on the hood is. Never seen this before. So I'm going to have to figure that out. It says ITT on it. But we'll do a walk around the truck. A little bit of a ding on this fender up in the front, and I did see he has included another fender with different chrome trim off a different truck. So I know when you pull that trim, you have some studs and stuff to remove. The tailgate on this one, this has this really cool Lariat tailgate that's got this chrome applique, but this reflector strip is broke. The metal backing is still okay. I guess that's actually plastic too. But anyway, I looked it up. These things by themselves, $175, just the plastic strip that goes across. A little bit of rust spot here on the back of the bed. Both fender wells have some rust. This one can probably just be, these are just surface bubbles. The other side is going to need a patch panel. But overall, really amazing shape for the year. So frame still has the original paint on it in some sections, which I've never really heard of around here. So Like I said, truck was loaded, front and rear sway bars. It's a nice truck. It just makes you feel like the 80s. Like I'm an 80s baby. I was born in 82. So really solid hitch. I don't know if this was the factory hitch with these reinforcing tubes. I've never seen another factory hitch that did that. I think this is probably something that somebody welded on, but the ball mount is rusted in place. As you can see, there's no pin. So we'll have to heat it and beat it, try and get that out of there. I'm going to try and swap that new tailgate on. It's going to need painted to match. We'll probably get a little patch panel here for the fender. At this point, it's likely just as easy to order one from Dennis Carpenter as it would be to try and find one to cut a patch panel out of. Fortunately, the cab is super solid. Minor surface rust under the drip rail, just needs touched up. If I can find paint that matches this. It was pinstriped with paint originally, and you can see that's kind of all dried up. It'd be nice to be able to find someone who could pinstripe it again. But I think, you know, if you buff this out, if you ended up changing that fender because of that little dent, you'd have to paint the whole thing to match. I think it'd be very difficult to color match all this to the rest. The good part about this patch panel is this chrome trim creates a distinction line, so I could come back in and blend this bottom and mask it off at that chrome line and have a repair that's not as noticeable. Tailgate's kind of same way. It doesn't have that two-tone on it, it's all tan, so you know, you can just come in and paint the new tailgate tan, and if it's a little off, it creates a visual break, so it's a little harder to tell. And on this one, the good part is the tailgate's almost completely covered by that. It's aluminum, but we're calling it the chrome accent panel. So all in all, you know, this rubber trim is a little dry. You can try and hit that with some WD-40 or something, or some Armor All. Amazing truck. I picked it up super cheap. It has a clean title, so this is probably one that will be I'll probably do some minor work to it, get it running. He said he did like everything in his power to get that 8th cylinder picked up and running, but was not able to do so. He even had it running on 7 cylinders for a while. He said he did a compression check and it was at 80 psi. So my guess is it's going to either need head work or an engine. He said he thinks it's the original engine. The only thing with that is this is a 351 auto, and I have a running 351 auto sitting right up the hill past that big brown cab over. So he said he thinks it's the original engine, which these trucks aren't super desirable, but it would still be nice to have that numbers matching component, I guess. But at the end of the day, this truck is worth a lot more running than not running. So if the engine needs rebuilt, it's going to be more cost effective to swap in that other motor. But we'll take a look at this one and see what we got. He didn't have the original carb, which I thought was kind of a bummer. He said he had like junked it or something. But he had this Holley 4-barrel, which is in really good shape. I mean, it's sat. He said it had fuel in it because that's what he was running it with. But it's sat. But it's a really nice serviceable carb, and he sold it to me for 50 bucks extra. So I felt like I would have been stupid not to take it even if I decide not to use it. But ideally it'd be nice to find a Motorcraft carb to put back on here. So anyway, end of an era for Ford, end of the Ford 9-inch, end of carbureted V8s. After 86, I think 87, they all went to EFI. So kind of a cool truck for that reason. I just saw the rear slider window needs a new latch. I don't know if I can glue one on off another truck, or if I just need to replace the whole window, which I think I have a spare piece of glass for these. But you know, these old Super Cabs, they're cool. They have the split rear windows. You know, these were the trucks that we saw when I was a kid. Something about them just takes you back. It would be cooler if it was 4-wheel drive. You know, I kind of think it'd be cooler if it was a manual, but we're gonna do some work on it. We'll buff these old 80s running boards out. This one looks like it needs a little love tap to bring that out, but we'll buff them all up, make them shiny. Be nice to give the whole truck's paint a buff. May end up increasing the value more to clean up this fender, make it look nice, all one color, and then sell it with the extra fender people like to feel like they could fix it. I think painting that fender, the two-tone with the pinstripe, would be cost prohibitive most likely. But anyway, we're going to use the old Warn. We've got it rigged up with a doubler, and this is what I want to show you. We got to get this thing off of here. We've got our Warn winch at the front of the trailer. I'm running a Harbor Freight Badlands snatch block. This thing here is like, whenever they first came out with them, I bought one, because doublers are generally somewhat expensive. So I've used this for years with no problems. But we've got some chain through a stake pocket. So what's going to happen is that Charlie's going to follow me around with his toy. Drop, bud. Drop. Charlie. Drop it. Hey. Yeah. Thing flies really far. I think that's the same one that Andrew Camarata uses. My son was like, Dad, get that frisbee that Andrew Camarata has. Anyway, so when we winch in, it's actually going to go through that doubler. And we're going to be going all the way to the back of the trailer. You can see as we take our slack out, I've got some J-hooks up here to the front radius line. Alright, so we're going to load up the truck. By load up, I mean we're just going to put some rearward force against it. And we're in park. Let's see, our climb up here. Key is in, key is on, put her in neutral. Alright. This is where it'd be really, really nice to have that, this is where it'd be really nice to have that wireless winch control working, but I decided to review the Harbor Freight ones and spent more on them than I would have on a Warn, since I had to replace them. So I could sit in the cab and just motor this thing out. But anyway, maybe this remote will reach the driver's seat. We'll see. I tell you what, this truck accommodates full-size pickup trucks, no problem. But I've moved like 2 trucks now with these big old 80s, late 70s, early 80s aluminum fenders, and they make it so hard. They stick out so low and they're so wide, but that's no big deal. We can just hopefully use this jack. Slide that over just a smidge. You see, the other issue here is that the winch going over the front of the trailer is holding the front of the trailer down. So for these setups, it works a little nicer when I can use my the bed mount winch, but these long vehicles, you won't have any choice. I have to use my forward winch mount that I added because it gets the winch down. Otherwise, the winch will be all the way up under the oil pan. But we are going to have to drop the back of this somehow. Honestly, I think at this point, if this would just tilt, it would be fine, but that's not going to happen. So we may be able to just put this up on the jack it up all the way, and then use the jack to roll it down. I think I'm going to grab my other jack up in front of the trailer. It looks like our jack is rolling pretty nicely. And again, we have a jack in the front. It's keeping the trailer tilted, although now at this point, probably wouldn't need that. Now the weight of the truck is getting behind the fenders. Our jack is still moving nice. And we are probably far enough back that we can drop that jack down. But at the very minimum, we need to come back and take a look at where our truck's going to end up. We do have some other stuff back here. Got good clearance on this side. And that's starting to get us closer and closer to this Trailblazer. The good part is it's not, if I slack the winch line now, it's not going to move back. It's not going to come back to the trailer, I mean. So I'm going to put this here. We're going to go ahead and slack this line a little bit. Should be able to pull the back of the truck this way with the jack. We'll go back just a little further. And we have reached the point where our hook is into our pulley. So anytime you hear a winch bog down like that, stop. Stop and figure out what's going on. It's going to break something. So we are out of doubler. Our truck is more or less right where we want it. We'll drop our jack down. There we go. As you can see, we're well clear of our fender on the truck. And we will disconnect our J hook under here. Give ourselves a little slack. You can see I just J hooked to the radius right now. Very strong part of the truck. And now I can drop this jack down in the front. We'll clear our rear straps off. I'm gonna drop this jack down, which is gonna do nothing. The truck is already sitting on the back of the trailer, and as long as our tires stay straight, which to make sure that they do, we're going to go ahead and tie our steering wheel. So as you can see, we got our truck completely unloaded. It is a really nice looking truck. I think with a little bit of work, it could be something exceptional. So some touch-up paint, some buffing. I'm trying to take care of her. Anyway, I'm gonna go inside for a little bit. Got some other stuff to work on, but I will see you guys later.